Hello, back again with another Sudoku. This is the New York Times Medium. So after yesterday's kind of not really speed solve, but just kind of trying to solve relatively quickly without explanation, I think today I'm going to switch back to more kind of basic instructions, I guess. But I'm going to start foregoing the basic techniques like how to spot the pairs of digits. But if interesting patterns emerge, I'm going to talk about that, I suppose. So all I'm doing is just going from 1 to 9 around the board and see what they do, and if I can do any pencil markings in pairs, basically within any box of 9. Any more candidates than that, I'm not going to pencil mark them in. And once again, the reason I go around the boards from 1 to 9 rather than going in each square and trying to find the pencil markings is because it's easier to use the pointed pairs. If they are invisible pointed pairs, or pointed triples, it's easier to pencil mark the remaining, use them to find remaining pencil marks, basically. So I just find it a lot easier to visualize what's going on the board, basically. So can't see anything with 2, so on 3 I've spotted these 2 3s interacts with that. So let's look at these 2 3s. They interact with that 3, giving me a 3 here. These 2 3s don't have any more interactions. These 3s gives me a set of 3, so I'm going to leave them alone. So that sort of 3's done. Let's move on to 4. So these 2 4s interacts, giving me a 4 and a pair of 4s down there. And these 2 interacts, giving me a pair of 4s there. These 2 interacts gives me 3 possible 4s, so I'm going to leave it for now. That's it for 4, so let's move on to 5s. These 2 5 interacts. In fact, this 5, these 2 5s interacts with that in the way, but the fact that these 3 cells are blocked anyway, it leaves me a pair of 5s up there. These 2 5s interacts with these lines. So I've got a pair of 5s there, so now I use the 5 and the pointed pairs to locate the remaining 5s on this top section. So let's see, nothing else on 5, so let's move on to 6s. So these 2 6 interacts giving me nothing, but these 2 interacts with that, giving me a pair. So whenever we have 2 pairs of digits occupying the same cells, it means it's called, I don't remember what it's called specifically, but this is a 5-6 pair. Basically, it means the 5 and 6 cannot appear anywhere else within the within the column that they're lined up to, or within the box that they reside. And it also means no other digits can go in these 2 cells, because they have to be 5 or 6, basically. So as when that happens, it's worth having a quick glance at the remaining cells to see if there's anything interesting. So this 7 interacts with that 8 interacts with that. So it means I've got another pair of 7 and 8 down here, basically, because 7 blocks that cell. These 2 are already used up, so 7s are down here. Similarly, 8 blocks that cell. These 2 are already used, leaving me 7 and 8 here, which means the only possible digit for the remaining cell is a 9. So now that I've done that, I'm just going to quickly pencil mark in the remaining 7s and 8s as well within this block, based on the interaction of these 2. And once that's done, I'm going to revert back to 6s, because I was working on 6s before. So these 2 6s interacts to give me a pair of 6s up here. And that's all the interactions I can see. So we're back on 7s. So 7 looking up interacts with that, giving me a pair of 7 and 5s there, because this column and this rows are taken up. And when that happens, remember what we said, when we've got a pair, I've got a pair of 5s and 7s, it pushes any other digits out. There cannot be any other digits. So that 1 can no longer be there. And using Snyder notation, when one possibility is eliminated within a square, the other must be true. So let's quickly have a look at 1s and see if that created any new pencil markings. It hasn't, so we're going to move back to 7s. And I think if I'm clever, what I can do as well is see if this locked 5-7 pair can create any meaningful interactions immediately. So unfortunately I'm not that smart. So oh yes, they interact with this 6. Since these two cells are locked down, it means these two have to be 6s as well. So do they do anything else? Not yet, they don't. So let's leave them for now. So I was on 7s before, so 7, 7, 7. So now I'm looking down the board and I'm not seeing anything else. So let's move on to 8. 8, I can already see there's only one 8. So 8 is what I would call a weak number. Maybe useful later, may not be. Let's come back to it. So 9s, these two 9s interact with that 9, leaving me with pair there. These two 9 interacts actually leaves me 3 possible 9s, so that's no use for me. These two 9s interacts, leaving me 3 possible 9s as well, so and same. I've got 3 possible 9s there, but actually these two 9s interacts, not even with that 9, just interacts with this box, creating a 9 there. So now suddenly I've got another 9 because these two 9s locks the 9s into these two cells, and that one blocks that row. So now I suddenly have quite a lot of 9s because now I'm looking across, and that 9 blocks that cell as well. So now 9s are locked into these two cells, and I've got 9 there, so that has to be a 9. So I've just eliminated a 7, so my immediate reaction is the remaining 7 has to be correct. So that's a 7, and I just knocked out a 3, so the remaining 3 has to be correct. So just before I lose my place, I'm going to look at the 9 that I filled in as well to see if it eliminates any more pencil markings. This is the area that I'm weak at, basically. When I have a chain reaction, quite often I missed out the cleaning of pencil marks, so it cleans out that 9 and creating the final 9 on the board. So we've done all the 9s now. So before moving on, let's look at the 7 that we filled in, where it interacts with that 7, giving me a pair of 7s down there. This 3 interacts with that 3, giving me a pair of 3s up there. And I think that's all the interactions we are getting with these 3 numbers. So what about this 9? We now only have 3 cells left. So, wanted to sneeze there. Okay, can't sneeze. So nothing interesting is happening at the moment, but the other thing that's happened is it's created a triple on this row as well when I fill in the 3, 7 and 9. So my immediate reaction is, well, what numbers are available within this row? Well, we already know that, providing we've cleaned up all the pencil markings. It has to be 5, 6 and 8 because I've got pencil markings for those. So I've got 3 pencil marks, 3 digits pencil marked in with this row, and I can quickly scan to see 5, 6 and 8, they don't exist on this row, so 5, 6 and 8 have to be in this row. Well, as luck will have it, I've got 5 looking at these two cells, so that means the 5 has to be over here, because they can't be in here, it has to be here by logic of the rows basically. And I've just eliminated a 6 within the 5, 6 pair, so that gives me another 6. So just quickly seeing the 6 interacts with each other, giving me a 6, 8 pair over here, which finally gives me a 2 up here basically. So now let's look at what the 2 does. Well, the 2 does a couple of things. It first locks the 2 down here, and because 2s can't live in either of these cells. And the other thing it does simultaneously with these pencil markings creating pairs of 1s and 2s is these two cells are now locked down. There are only 2 possibilities within these 2 cells. They have to be 4s and 5s. So I'm going to pencil mark them in. Apologies, I didn't blow my nose first thing in the morning to clear my sniffles. So the next thing I notice is when I'm pencil marking these 5s, if I look up and down, normally I'll look across because it creates a pointed pair, but the row is already completed. But the other interesting thing it does is the 5s are locked into these 2 columns 2s and 3 within this box. Well, if I look up, 5s are locked into 2s, columns 2s and 3s on the top box as well. What that means is 5 has to be in these 2 cells, because on this column they cannot be in either of these cells because I've already got the 5 pencil marked in. I mean, if we use more traditional logic, 5 can't go in here because I've already got a pointer pair over here. 5 can't go in here because it sees the 5. So 5 has to be within these 2 cells. Well, 5 can't be here either because of that 5. So we've just solved the 5 by putting in that 2, basically. So that 5 in turns interacts with that 5, locking the 5 in here, which, looking up, resolves the 7 and 5. So this 5 interacts with that 5, but it doesn't do anything. Those 2 5s are still locked down. It could be in either cells, so there are no interactions with our existing 5s. So why don't we look at this 7 that we just pencil marked in? What interacts with this 7, locking the 7 down here, which eliminates that 7 as a pencil mark. So now that has to be a 7. Now these 2 7s interact and locks the 7 in these 2 cells. So now we have a similar kind of logic here as the pair of 5s we looked at early on. We've got 7s locked into columns 4 and 6. We've got 7s locked into 4 and 6. So the remaining 7 within this column has to be in these 2 cells. Well, I've got 7 here, so that's got to be a 7. And I think that's all the 7s pencil marked in. So why don't we move on to 8? There are not many 8s. Did I say it's a weak number before? Certainly looks it at the moment, and I can't see, well, you can only see across, up and down, and they don't give me any pencil markings for in 2s, basically. So the other thing I can look at is I've got pencil markings of 8. Well, if I have, if there are squares, boxes of 9 where the 8s cannot be in the middle, then it will actually create another pair of possibilities and elsewhere using the reverse logic of what we did with the 7s. Unfortunately, it's not happening here, so all we do know is in this column, 8 and 2 are the remaining digits in these 2 cells, but I have no 2s. These 2 cells don't see any 2s, so I'm not going to do any pencil markings in for now. Some people like to pencil mark in 2 and 8s when they see a pair, but for me, just to maintain the kind of basic notations of numbers always appearing, candidates always appearing in pairs within a box, I'm going to keep that sparingly, and but we should still be able to solve this on medium difficulties. Sorry, got a bit of something stuck in my throat. So now we know 9s are done, so why don't we go around the board again and see. I think, was this a single cycle? No, I think that was the second cycle that I've gone through the board from 1 to 9. So let's do another cycle. So 1s, I can see nothing is happening, so I'm just going to jump straight onto 2s. Chances, so these 2s interacts, locking the 2s in here, which means 2 has to be down here. Well, I've got 2 here, so now this 2 interacts with that 2, locking the 2s down here. They don't have any interesting behavior as a result, so that 2 sees down here, ticking off that pencil marking, leaving this as a 1 and a 2. I should have spotted this earlier. Now quickly, I've got a pair here, so I know 6 is one of the possible digits, and the other one is a 4, so what I'll be looking for is a 4 either within the boxes or on the rows. I can't see them, so I've got a 4, 6 pair here that are unknown at the moment. So let's carry on. I just did 2, didn't I? So let's carry on. These 2s now locks a 2 down here, which eliminates that as a pencil mark, locking that 2 here. So now 2 has to be in these 2 cells, creating a 2, 7. But I don't have to pencil mark in the 2s because I've already got 2 up there. That knocks the 7 out. So that 7 knocks that 7 out. So that 7, 8 pair resolves. So I think now all the 7s are done. This 8 doesn't do anything interesting because it still leaves me 3 possible squares, 3 possible cells where the 8s can appear in the corresponding boxes. So nothing interesting happening, but I've got another pair there. This is a 2-8 pair, but since I've got 2 here, it means the 8 has to be down here, locking the 2 up here, and I think all the 2s are solved. So now I've got 3 8s, the 8s have to be up here. So now let's look at this column. I'm left with 2 cells, so there have to be 1s and 4s. I've already got a 4 up there, so that has to be a 1 and that has to be a 4. So now these 2 cells are locked in as a pair, and they are 8 and 3. I don't have any 3s horizontally, so these are also now a pair because these 2 cells are locked down as 3 and 8. So whatever remaining digit has to be locked in here, and they are 1s and 4s, and I can't see any 4s across, so I'm going to leave them for now. I've got another pair here. These are 4s and 8s, but I don't have any 8s yet, so let's move on. So I think I was working on 2s before, so let's move on to 3s. So this 3 locks that cell, creating a 3-6 pair. So using a similar logic, even though I've got pencil markings of 3s in all 3 boxes, well, the 3s are locked into the top 2 rows within these 2 boxes. It means I can eliminate that as a 3 because I know the 3 has to be down here, and that has to be a 3. So now these 3-6 also means 8 has to be here, which resolves the 6 and the 8. Now I've got a pair of 8s. I've got 4 8 pair, which means the remaining digit has to be a 6. So now these 2 6s interact, leaving me a 6 over here. Again, I've got the, well actually no, I've got a 6 already here, so I think all the 6s are now pencil marked in. So let's rewind and go back to, I think I was working on 3s before, wasn't I? So I think all the 3s are pencil marked in as well. I've got 2 sets of 3s here, so let's move on to 4s. So I think 4 is relatively weak as well, but these 2 4s interact, giving me a 4 here, and that's powerful because it resolves the 4 and the 5s. And these 2 4 now locks a 4 down here, and they do many things. First of all, that 5, let's eliminate the pencil marking, which means that's 5 and 6. And I've just eliminated 6 here, so that has to be a 6. And also that 4 is taken out, resolving this 1 4 pair, which in turn resolves this 4 8 pair. So this is kind of Snyder notation, and it's most powerful basically. So now I've got pair left in a column, but rather than looking at the column, I should look on the rows because I've only got 1 digit left in either of these rows, and they are 8 and 1. I've got another pair here. So unfortunately, since I have 3 remaining digits left in these rows, even though I've got pencil markings in, these are not pairs. They're not free. They're like 3, 6 and 8, so I can't use them to deduce the final digits, so I can only deduce vertically what the numbers are using these pairs. But I think they should resolve anyway. Can I already resolve them? So 1. So in fact, these 2 1s, well, I mean, these are locked in as 1s and 8s anyway, but I've already got 1 up here. So now it's going to cause a chain reaction. That's now an 8, that's a 1, and this 8 causes a chain reaction here for 3 and 8, and that 3 causes a chain reaction for 3 and 6, and that's another solve. So I hope that's helpful. What I may do with Medium is just kind of like do a bit of rotation on every day, just kind of switching between fast solve and slow solve, just to help. If you're new to Sudoku, then hopefully it's going to be helpful. It's going to be helpful, like seeing the basic techniques, but then on every other day I'll try and do some fast solve and see if I encounter any difficult kind of like difficult techniques that are required. I think that's the one thing I feel not disappointed, but kind of with Kraken and Cryptic, they are doing a lot of unusual Sudokus nowadays, and all the more basic techniques, basic solves, whilst they have, I think they have like videos on kind of almost every single techniques possible for Sudokus. The downside is they tend to only have like, because people send them in, they tend to only show those techniques now and again, and so it doesn't give you enough repetitions to kind of understand the techniques that they use. And I'm hoping that by doing every single Sudoku every day, you guys will be able to kind of like see the techniques being used, and like frequently basically, and hopefully that's more helpful with improving the kind of early game. I'm sure if you actually like read the techniques properly and actually learn how to find them, then it becomes a lot easier. You're going to surpass me in no time at all, but for now I kind of find it most enjoyable at the level that I'm at, because I used to solve the Rubik's Cube, for instance, and I managed to cut it down to like within a minute, and I think 42 seconds was my fastest time. But like to push it to the next level, I just have to memorize loads of techniques basically, and I think stops being fun basically, because you're not really, even at my level, I found when you know all the techniques, then you're just kind of like cycling through everything you know. Whereas the way I'm solving at the moment, I'm kind of looking for interesting patterns that are kind of beyond my normal routines, normal techniques, and I think potentially that's more helpful, or not more helpful, but more interesting, basically more fun to solve. And I use that for both medium and hard Sudokus on New York Times. So enough me ambling. So I'm going to see you tomorrow. I think if I do a count of the words most frequent used word, it's probably going to be so. So yeah, see you tomorrow. Bye.